Hey guys, we're here with John, and we wanted to show off his virtual world list. So, how is this in this current format? Obviously, it's tough for rogue decks.
Yeah, it's definitely a rogue deck for sure. It kind of works out nice because it can dodge the Bestial since none of the attributes are layered dark. And then it can make some pretty mid-range end boards. And it's mostly just kind of my pet deck and fun deck to play with. So turned out pretty well.
Yeah, and
turned out pretty
Shenshen
well
is
today.
pretty nice.
He is.
All right, let's get to the list.
Awesome. So pretty normal. I'm sure maybe you know or you don't know. However, virtual worlds, they do have a bit of a tendency to brick. So for that reason, we do like to max out on all the names. So we have 3 Lulus, 3 Gigi's, 3 Lilies, 3 Lao Laos, and 2 Nian Yans. Again, because there's no really one card combo in the deck, you cannot do a single one card combo. Everything requires to target another card on itself. You don't want to get stuck with only one of the cards in your hand or none of the cards in your hand. So we really want to maximize in terms of all the names that we can see. I'll continue with the spells and traps for it. Triple Kowloon, probably the best card in the deck. This really gets everything rolling. So with Kowloon, it lets you place a virtual world gate, so one of the spells and traps on your back row, which then you can start using your monsters to target to get your deck really rolling. Continuing with that, so we have 3 Qinglongs, and we have 2 Chuches and 1 Zhuanru. This is pretty standard ratios, nothing really too complex or too special. Qinglong is really good because if it's in the graveyard, then you can banish it and discard a card to search for any of your virtual world monsters. Chuche is a pop on the field, plus in the graveyard, it's a level modulator if you banish it. Zhuanwu's on-field effect, it's never used, it just changes the attack position of a monster on the field. We never use it for that. We only sometimes use it for its monster reborn effect, but even then, it's a pretty easy card to side out going in games 2 and 3. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the virtual world core. I mean, honorary, I guess, cards that can go into it. We have ourselves 2 emergency teleports. A lot of people sometimes play with them with 3. I like it at 2 just because I didn't want to go over 40. Plus, it doesn't give you a lot of extra benefits as, let's say, for example, Punk would, just because it really only brings out the names to have something to target with your effects in hand. And yeah, so then that's about it with in regards to the core of the virtual world cards. Moving on. So right now I'm messing around with Triple Ash Blossom. I know it's not a preferred hand trap in this format. Magnamut and Druid's Worm, of course, they're pretty self-explanatory what they do. They actually also work really well in this deck because they're level 6s. And then if you didn't know, pretty much everything with Virtual World revolves around level or rank 3s or 6s, and of course 9s and 12s. So these can go really great because you can overlay them. You can use them for synchro summoning, and then obviously Druid's Worm, for example, if it's sent off for a synchro summon, you can use its effect to target a monster on the field and banish it. So yeah, that comes out really well too. And then Triple Imperm, for me, the best hand trap in the game. Really like it. I don't think there's ever a situation wherever you want to side it out, whether you're going first or second. So turns out pretty well. We're only running 12 hand traps. And then some power spells. We have Double Desires and Called by the Grave. Pretty self-explanatory.
Awesome. So 40 in the main.
40 in the main, correct.
On to the extra deck.
Yep. So the 2 honorary members, Coral Dragon and Stardust Charge. Coral Dragon really gives you a effect to pop, depending on what cards you have in your hand. For example, if you do have a Qinglong, you can send a Qinglong from your hand to the graveyard to destroy a card on the field, and then you can activate Qinglong Engrave to search for another Virtual War card. And then, of course, if it's sent to the grave, you can draw a card. Stardust Charge, essentially just for the draw one. That's really all it's run for, plus the level 6. I do run the Zolkin and Crystal Wing package. the levels obviously make it really easy. Crystal Wing is a good negate to have on board. Plus, it's got a pretty sneaky damage step effect where it'll gain the attack of the monster that it's battling. Not a lot of people know that, and then by the time you're in the damage step, it's a little too late for them to activate any effects onto that one, so it works out pretty well. Some people tend to cut this out for maybe a small Dragoon package because one of the extra deck monsters allows you to go into that. Personally, I think that Crystal Wing's a little bit better. It offers everything that Dragoon would and more, especially because Dragoon isn't properly summoned by using the Dark Magician or the Red Eyes Black Dragon in this deck, so I just think that it's a little bit better than Dragoon. Continuing here, we've got Vermilion Dragon Mech, just a level 9 pop, and then Mathmech Final Sigma. Yeah, this is a little bit of a heart favorite of mine. So basically it's a towers in the extra monster zone, so it's unaffected by any other effects. When it attacks, it actually deals double damage, and it can be paired nicely with number 39, Utopia Beyond. When this guy is summoned, he makes all monsters on the field or on your opponent's side of the field 0 attack. So this is just lethal quickly, 9,000 damage right there on the board, because this guy will attack for double 3,000 and 6,000, and then 3,000 right there. Plus, it's also really good against Flunder. Flunder almost has no answer to this card. They can't tribute it with their spell. They don't have anything really that gets over the 3,000. So whenever I'm playing against Flunder, this is always option A, usually just to try to run into it as quickly as we can. So that's it for that. Now for the Virtual World extra deck monsters, we have Shenshen, Jaja, Fan, and Juju. I'll put that over here. Shenshen, best card in the deck. It's a Macrocosmos on legs. Anything sent from the field is banished instead. So in a matchup like Tearlaments, for example, it works out really well, because if you have this up plus, let's say, for example, a Chuche on board, which you can use to pop, let's say, their Kit Kalos or their Kaleido Heart or whatever it might be, they won't actually hit the grave. They'll get banished. So it kind of does a great way of going around that effect. Each of the other beasts, they have their own effects. Virtual World Jaja, he's a little bit underrated, I think, just because if he detaches 2 of the material, and then depending on some of the cards that you have in your graveyard, he's indestructible by battle, so then it's a quick and easy way to get into Zeus, but we'll get onto that one in a second. And then Juju and Fan, they are a little interchangeable. I don't go into these ones all that often, to be entirely honest with you. They each have their niche applications, but they are also always nice to have as a name that you can target with your effects. Speaking of the Zeus package, Zeus and Gaia. Gaia is essentially just a guy to overlay, because all of our Exceed monsters are 6 or 3, and Chuche actually works with Jaja, because Chuche can not only increase the level of monsters, it can also increase the rank of monsters. So you can make this a rank 6, you put Gaia on top of it, you have Zeus on top of there, and then you can have situations where you have a 4 material Zeus. So works out pretty nicely as well too. And the last 2 extra deck monsters, Beatrice and Wallow. These are really sort of mained towards the Bestials cards. Wallow, of course, can really work out nicely when trying to work around some of the Tearlaments effects that are triggering engrave. You take the monster from the graveyard, and then the effect resolves without effect. It doesn't fizzle. And then Beatrice can get you out of a hole in multiple situations. You can send Qinglong, you can send any of your Chuche or Zhuanwus. Really comes a lot. And then also it has a lot of applications with the side deck, which I'll show you in a bit, where there are some cards that we want to send into the side deck that really sort of help out with our matchups as well.
Awesome.
On to the side deck. So the main one for Beatrice is Necroworld Banshee. Again, we don't like Flunder, we don't like Tearlament, so this package can work out really well against those for sure. speaking of Tearlaments, we have triple Ghost Bell, all mismatching rarities. I started collecting them, and I started collecting the different ones at different times, and then I wanted to start collecting them all at one rarity, but I like the fact that they're all different ones. They look a lot cooler that way to me. Ghost Bell, pretty self-explanatory. Really great against Tearlaments and any other graveyard relying decks in this format, so works out pretty well too. Blowout cards going second, we have triple evenly matched and triple lightning storm, in addition to Harpy's Feather Duster. Pretty self-explanatory, again, going second. This is a mid-range deck, so even if we do lose our battle phase to evenly matched, it's not the worst thing that we can do. We can build our board and then go from there. Lightning Storm, same thing. And then this is a little bit of a flex spot, but you can never go wrong with it, I feel. Triple Tactics Talent. When it resolves, It's fantastic. Either the hand knowledge is the one that I really like to go for, because I always like to know what my opponent has in hands. Draw 2 if you're in a bit of a sticky situation, and then the actual last effect, I don't think I've ever used it. But yeah, it's a little bit situational, of course. If your opponent isn't in a situation where they have monster effects that they're activating in your main phase, it's obviously a dead card, but in the format that we're in, that doesn't really end up not happening. So it's pretty live most of the time, and I like the flexibility that it gives you with the 3 effects. Printing 3 banned cards onto here is pretty good.
Amazing. Thank you so much for the deck profile. Any last shout outs?
Shout outs to the man behind the camera, James. Shout out to Go For Game, fantastic place. Shout out to Calvin. And yeah, check this place out. Spadina and Dundas. You won't regret it. Lots of great people, lots of great duelists. You'll have a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Take care.